history of the television experiment, I've been hyping this up all week long, that if anything else, what it's done is brought the best callers out. Normally the best callers pick their spots. They don't come in unless they really have a reason to come in, and generally it's the smack off. Some guys call once a year on the biggest stage because they've got that kind of game. They've got that kind of focus. As an example, Aya Frady called yesterday. Aya Frady is a guy that's almost impossible for me to describe if you've never heard him or you don't know that much about this show. But I've done this now for 25 years plus. He might be the single best caller in the history of this show. And that's saying a lot. There have been some amazing callers. There have been some horrible callers, but there have been some really talented people, really amazing callers. If it's not Aya Frady, it might be this guy. This guy has won the Smack Off 3 times. This guy made one of the most famous calls in the history of the show in the past Smack Off when he didn't win. Not only did he not win, he went straight kamikaze. Now, I didn't know what had happened since then. I didn't know if we'd ever hear from him ever again. He's on hold right now. Before I go to Brad and Corona, for those of you who missed that phone call, it was earlier, it was last year, early in the Smack Off. In fact, it was at the beginning of the Smack Off.
Hey, finishing up, Jimmy, my daddy always told me if you ain't first, you're last, and I'm 99% sure that with my scheduling conflict, I'm not getting first. And knowing that, Jim, I should probably just get last. So out of respect for the Smack Off and my fellow competitors, Chael, Mike, Vic, Steve, Cam, is there a Cam? I don't know. All the other lames whose names I can't remember, I will now do the honorable thing by committing Smack Off suicide, also known as Smack Off Harakiri or Seppuku, which will bring honor to this competition and allow someone else besides me for a change to win the $5,000 this year. I'm going to end my call with a joke that I've written myself. I hope you like it. And Alvy, get ready to send me to meet my maker. Okay, so Najee Davenport, Peppermint Patty, and an uncircumcised Euro walk into a laundromat. Patty turns to Najee and says, "Hey, does it stink in here to you?" The Euro says, "No, those are just my turtlenecks."
That's not a good call. No. You don't like
I need 1 second to recover. You have to understand, in context, the call was great. He was killing it. There'd be no reason to do that. But Brad himself said it best. I know that because of a scheduling conflict, I'm going early. I'm not going to be able to recover, or I should say respond to anything that anybody else is saying. Therefore, I know I can't win. So I'm just going to fall on the sword, and I'm going to die a noble death. And then you wonder about the guy. He only calls the show on that day and went out like that. And he's already a 3-time champ. So do we ever hear from the guy ever again? Or maybe is he really dead? He's not. Here he is. I got to find out why. Brad in Corona, first week of July. It is not a Smack Off day. Bradley, what's going on? How are you?
Jimmy, I'm great. Kevin and Bean were right. You were looking good, my friend. Your lettuce is on point. I do want to specify, though, that it's really just you who's looking good. Every time they cut to the rest of your crew, it's a different story. It looks like they're the launch team for a missile that just crashed into the ocean. It's all dark, computers glowing off their sweaty faces, guys staring down at their notes, chewing on pencils. Give those guys some better lighting and maybe like a plant, Jim. I do love the TV show, though. My favorite part so far is I now get to actually see your sports update guys when you go to them. Thank God we got a special camera for Rich Ackerman, Andrew Bogish, and whoever else they can pull in off the street to read 30 seconds of sports highlights every half an hour. Jim, do me a favor. Watch Ackerman next time you go to him. The dude sits 4 inches away from a 40-inch monitor, and I'm 99% sure he's just pulling up Yahoo headlines and reading whatever pops up on that screen in front of his big face. Hey, Rich, quick pro tip for you. Don't accidentally read the Yahoo-sponsored ads when Jim throws it to you. Sports Flash. I'm Rich Ackerman. Bankers hate him for this one simple trick. 12 celebrities who still look hot in bikinis. Wait, oh my God, my internet's frozen, Jim. Back to you. Hey, Ackerman, Bogish, pay attention. I know you're both out there listening right now, and you're both probably thinking the exact same thing. You're thinking, hey, does my car qualify for Uber? And the truth is, guys, I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of cars you're rolling in these days, but I'm guessing maybe you could both squeak into like Uber X driving status. Hey, maybe you guys can both select packages for Amazon. From the sounds of the call Jim took earlier from that delivery driver, they apparently have 0 qualification standards. You can pull 180s, slip and slide all over the road, drop off some packages, and call the Jim Rome Show in between your sports updates. So it's a win, 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 guys. Hey, Jimmy, do you have time here at the end of my call for a quick ATP?
Oh, you know I do, Brad. You know I do.
Thanks, dude. I don't want to be like Iafrate yesterday and overstay my welcome by 3 minutes and an entire song. So real quick, you had a guy in the studio Tuesday. I noticed that you were wearing an earpiece, and he was wearing headphones. And my ATP question, Jim, is, do you have a bigger pair of headphones for your guests than the ones that guy wore on Tuesday? And I guess my concern is that this year when Leffen Laguna comes stomping into the studio during his annual Smack-Off call, that whatever that guy wore on Tuesday won't be able to properly cover what Leff's got going on up top with his ears, Jim. There's no way those things are going to fit him. He'll have like ear cleavage spilling out over the side of the headphones. It's not going to be a good scene. All right, that's my ATP, Jimmy. I'll hang up now and take your answer off the ears. I mean air. I'll take your answer off the air, Jim, not the ears.
Yeah, I got it first time, Brad. I got it, my man. I got you, Brad and Corona. Amazing. You can go ahead and rack that call. See, the bad thing about TV now, you see my reaction to it, right? I'm not supposed to laugh at him clowning my friends. But how do you not laugh when he does things like that? Brad and Corona. Tagging it with the ATP. My man, would you get off of Rich Ackerman? Can you get off this guy and keep Andrew Bogish's name out your mouth, Bradley? But, of course, Brad is the one that glossed the two-time defending champ, Leffen Laguna, quote, a gimmicky little bitch. This is what I mean, all right? So you can say what you want about this TV show. You can talk about whether or not this is a good idea or a bad idea. If it's going to bring out that guy, if it's going to smoke that guy out the first week of January, how can that be anything but awesome? That was a smack-off level call. Never mind the huge call today, which he already locked up. That was a smack-off level call. That's what you get the day of the smack-off. That's what you get from a guy who's won the championship 3 times. I mean, you find me another guy that can do that. Brad in Corona. Man, we've had a hell of a week, haven't we? Brad came in. Iafrate came in. Some other smack-off participants have come in. That is something else. 1-800-636-8686. Who wants to be the one to try to follow that guy? If anybody could, this guy might. This guy's got mad game. Brad in Corona, bro. Back away from my man Rich Ackerman. He's had enough. Let's go to Mark in Boston. He knows how it's played. Mark, what's up, bro? How are you?
Jim, what's happening, partner?
What's up, partner?
Hey, man, it's really nice to see you on TV, but I have to ask, what is up with that death pool graphic over your right shoulder? I mean, is that something that we're doing now? Because if I am on the clock, I would like to use my first-round pick on Iafrate. The dude has incredible value in the first round. It could be a sleeper permanently. Hey, you mentioned that Iafrate came in the studio last year. How cold did you have to get the studio to keep him from rapidly mummifying? And I'm like 4 for 4 watching the show on the simulcast, but not because of any other reason, but I'm fascinated by the dudes on the other side of the glass. Every time you show the guys in the studio, I'm half expecting Hawk to reach out from the television and be like, y'all want some weed? Hey, Jim, you can tell Hawk that if he's going for that Eastern European human trafficker look, he has nailed it. I can't tell if Hawk is your EP or if he's trying to sell me his EP. He looks like a guy who's in one of those bands that subbed out a drummer for like a horn. War Jim Harbaugh doing better than 8-5 this year and not finishing higher than 4th in the Big Ten East. And War Urban Meyer is chest pain medicine. We're out.
Rack him, Alvy. We've had more unbelievable phone calls in the first week of 2018 than we probably did in the first 6 months of 2017. And don't tell me it's got nothing to do with the show. This guy's referencing things over my right shoulder. This is my right shoulder, but if you're watching on TV, there is a death pool. The folks in New York have got these unbelievable gold graphics over my left shoulder. You know, the microphone with the ring around it saying, have a take, don't suck. They've got this tank with a blast above my head. And to the left, there is a death pool. Yeah, I'm going to say back in the day when I used to do things that were more acceptable then than they are now. We had a jungle death pool, like a pool of who would die next. A little bit morbid. And he just said, hey, Rome, is that still in effect? If so, it's going to be Iafrate. Iafrate's not nearly as old as you all seem to think he is. Nor does the guy smoke, and he's actually in very good shape, very good health. He's not going to win. So if you want to have your own celebrity or jungle death pool, I can't stop you from doing that. But I wouldn't put that guy in it. He's going to be fine. Man, Mark, you know how good you have to be to follow Brad in Corona and get racked and hold your own? He did. I'm telling you, it's weeding out the hacks. But they'll be back. As soon as I put a price tag on it like I do for the Smack Off every single year, 5 GER for the winner, the hacks all come out. Anybody else want to come in? 1-800-636-8686. The amazing thing is, and I said this earlier, more of me and less of you. My takes are better than yours. I'm bypassing all my stuff today because your calls are killing it. I'm playing that hot hand. It's like every time I throw down like 10-6, hit me 5-21. Or I get a face card, king. I feel like I'm at a table at Caesar's Palace, and I'm killing it and just stacking chips. You have to understand, when you're me and you've done this show as long as I've done this show, there are not very many days or weeks like this one where it's good call. 19, 20, 21, 21, 21. And now people are coming around. They're watching me play this hot hand. That's how I feel with the calls that are coming in the way they are. You know the phone number. It is toll-free, 1-800-636-8686. Now, I'm at this place in the show where I don't want to ruin a good thing. I don't want to take a call that's not up to standard. So I won't. Let me set up hour number 3 for you. I've got Wizards guard Bradley Beal coming up at the very top of the third hour. So what that means to you, that's about 12, 13 minutes from right now. Also next hour, I want to talk about the Saints. And this goes back to something that Wesley Woodyard said. I said, you've got guys on the team, the Titans, that have not been in this position before. You have been in this position before. So what are you telling your teammates who haven't? Do you tell them, listen, do not deviate, don't change. Approach this like any other game, or do you let them know it's not like any other game? It's the playoffs. He said, that's exactly what I'm telling them. It's not like any other game. So that brings me to the Saints. The Saints have had a great year on both sides of the ball, especially offensively, where they're doing it differently. But there's something going on this week in the way they're approaching the postseason that's concerning me a lot. I'll have that for you next hour. Quick reaction to Brad on Twitter. FBI Mike in Toledo, or at Mike in Toledo, quote, holy bleep. This is Brad's best call in many years. Man, that's saying something too, and I don't disagree with it. That was an amazing call. At Kev in the D tweets, Brad kills it every single time. Chris in KC tweets, ex-officio Uber driver. Holy crap, Brad in Corona killed it. Jeff from the 919 tweets, I've never been more excited to hear a sports update than now. Fire back, Smackerman. Fire back, Smackerman. I'll tell you what, y'all have lifted the bar to a really, really high place. I mean, I got to come back next week and chase this. I'll be up to it. My game will be up to it. But the calls, I mean, if somebody's watching this show right now and saying, man, I've never heard calls like this before. If that's the way it is, this is the greatest show ever. This is not the way it is. This is an amazing week for phone calls on this show. One of the best we've ever had. All right, so we'll set it up. One last hour and still time for you to get through. And yes, Rich Smackerman will have a chance to fire back. Well, you know what? Rich will be a pro. He'll go right off his back. As much as something like that could go off anybody's back. Rich will do what he does. Man, he's a player in the jungle. Rich knows what time it is. He knows what's up. When we come back, Bradley Beal joins me, and then it's back to the phones. I do want to talk about the Saints and the way they're approaching it this week. I want to talk about Jacksonville and the way they're approaching it this week. And I'm still trying to get to the Cavaliers and the Celtics last night and the Lakers beaten down by the Thunder. I'll get to as much as I can next hour. Do not go anywhere.